Lesson 4 is our lesson on CSI interfaces and roles, and it has 4 main objectives. First, we'll discuss the CSI inputs, outputs, and interfaces between other lifecycle phases. Next, we'll learn about the relationship between CSI and service level management. Then we'll quickly refresh your memory with a review of the duties of the process owner and the service owner. And we'll wrap up by learning about the CSI Manager. As we've learned over the course of this Video Mentor series, there's a logical progression to the service lifecycle. Service strategy feeds into service design feeds into transition into operation, and all lifecycle phases interface with continual service improvement. Continual service improvement improves how each phase of the lifecycle moves on to the next. That's logical. But CSI also allows phases of the lifecycle to provide feedback to the prior phases of the lifecycle. For example, pretend you work in service transition and there's a knock at your door and it's the service design manager. And they say, "Hello, we have a service design package for you, service transition." And you as service transition receive the service design package and you look at it and you say, "Wow, this is great. Hey, service design manager, could you do me a favor though? Next time when you give me the next service design package, could you please change this, this, and this?" So now you can see that service transition can provide feedback to the prior phase. And then the next time service design gives a service design package to service transition, it'll be that much better. Continual service improvement enables that conversation. CSI also encourages and provides the communication channels for each phase of the lifecycle to interface with any other lifecycle phase. Now, for simplicity's sake, I didn't put arrows depicting every possible lifecycle communication combination, or the slide would have been impossible to read, but you get the idea. As you remember, CSI is happening all the time, but service level management only happens in service design, transition, operation, and CSI. So service level management isn't happening so much in strategy. In the service level management lesson, we talked about a SIP, which stands for Service Improvement Program, which is a program that the service level manager puts in place in the event that a service misses one of its service level targets. I equated a SIP to a Band-Aid. It's something you put in place in the event that something's broken. But I don't want you to get that confused with CSI, because CSI is always happening even when things are working great. It's also important to remember that the service level management effort is about building and maintaining better relationships between IT and its customers. So the service level manager is the face of IT to the customer. It's not CSI, it's service level management. Even though CSI helps the service level manager compile service-related reports, it's only the service level manager who will present these reports back to the customer, however often it's stated to do so in the SLA. I'd like to take a moment to give you a reminder of what process owners and service owners are. On the left-hand side of the slide, we have a definition of a process owner, and the process owner is accountable for the process as a whole. In IDLE version 3, there are about 24 processes, and in this Video Mentor series, we've talked about 21 of them. Each process needs to have a process owner assigned. Every process owner is accountable for the process that they own. In addition, they are also responsible for documenting the process, educating everybody on how to use the process, and then ensuring that everyone is following it correctly. Also, measuring the process results against key performance indicators and critical success factors that have been set up. And finally, continually improving the process so it's aligned to the needs of the business. This continual process improvement happens here with the help and guidance of continual service improvement. On the right side of the slide, you'll see the definition of a service owner. A service owner, just like a process owner, is accountable for the thing that they own. So the service owner is accountable for the end-to-end service, or the service as a whole. They are, however, responsible for continually improving the service so it's continually aligned to the needs of the business. The service owner also represents the service to the business. So if the business has a question about the service, or if there needs to be a change to the service, this person can speak authoritatively about the service. The service owner is typically an executive. If you have a large IT organization, your service owner might be somebody like the VP of messaging. So your service owner in a large organization is not the person who's rebooting the exchange box at 3 in the morning. Instead, they're the person who typically signs the SLA. Think of them as someone fairly high up on the food chain. Since the service owner is typically an executive, chances are they probably don't have very much hands-on operational day-to-day interaction with the service. But when something needs to be escalated, or if somebody needs to speak authoritatively about the service or represent it to the business, especially in, say, a change management meeting, that'll be the service owner. It's also important to know that the service owner is just as critical to service management and ITIL in general as process owners. One is not more important than the other. The last role is the role of the CSI Manager. Your CSI Manager may be a person or it may be a team, but you'll need to have one person who is accountable for the overall success of all improvement activities. Think about that. Continual service improvement is always happening, and CSI continually improves anything and everything. Technology, meaning individual components, processes, all 24 idle processes, as well as all of the individual company-specific processes you have in your own organization, and services end to end. CSI improves anything and everything. So to have one person accountable for all improvement activities, that's a pretty big job. Your CSI Manager is a CSI cheerleader. They communicate the CSI vision across the organization and they keep the momentum going. This CSI Manager will also define and report on CSI's critical success factors and key performance indicators, as well as CSI activity metrics. So think of the CSI Manager as the process owner of CSI. The CSI Manager also coordinates CSI throughout the entire life cycle, and they build effective relationships with both the business and IT managers. The CSI Manager or team will also ensure that monitoring is in place to gather data for technology, process, and service metrics. And this person or team will also work with process owners and service owners to identify improvements and improve quality of processes and services. And this CSI Manager slide wraps up the bulk of our material here for this ITIL version 3 Foundation Exam Video Mentor. Let's wrap up this CSI lesson with some sample questions based on this chapter.